And we are recording episode 906 on Sunday, September 11th, 2022 at 4:16 p.m. Eastern Time with Mr. Roger Williams, the author of my favorite book, Metamorphosis of Prime Intellect, about what happens after the singularity. Not just could it happen and will it happen and how will it happen, but actually walks out and fleshes out what would happen after. And despite being an insane roller coaster, after many years looking back at it, you kind of go, that is what would happen. I highly recommend it. It's available on Amazon as well as Lulu. Same price on both things, but Roger gets a bigger cut on Lulu, less money to Bezos. So either support the next, I guess, Antichrist or support Roger. And because I'm a terrible friend and I treat Roger like a jukebox, I texted him like an hour or two ago. We were supposed to do a reading, and I said, "Do you have a 9/11 episode up your sleeve?" And Roger, ever patient, said, "Indeed, I do." And so
I
that was
was
what we were.
there,
You were there?
not in New York, but it's one of those things you remember for the rest of your life. It's like, yeah, I was there in presence.
Consciousness. I was 11, so I kind of like kind of remember it.
Uh, I was at work, and we had received a few phone calls uh, from relatives of people who were working for us, suggesting that something really bad was going on. And we couldn't quite figure it out. But and in those days, the internet was not what it is today as an information source. It's like, yeah, you might go on the internet and find out what happened last week, but as far as what's happening right now, that was not a thing the internet did in 2001. So what you wanted was a TV set, and we had a TV set in the building, but it didn't have an antenna. We used it to watch videotapes, for training videos and stuff. And so uh, everyone was like, what the hell is going on? And I was trying to rig up an impromptu antenna by jamming a wire into the RCA jack and holding it up like this. And I was getting a grainy but recognizable signal from the news, and we could tell that it was news break-in, that it was not normal programming. So everybody was starting to gather around, and that was when the first tower fell.
Oh shit!
And yeah, I was in like this posture. And that's one of those things that they tell you, if you live to be 1,000 years old, you will remember that's what I was doing on 9/11. And we had, for the rest of the morning, people calling in. It was all telephones. It was by, yeah, we saw this, we heard this. And uh, I finally managed to get an antenna rigged up that I didn't have to hold up with my hand. And we were all sitting there looking at this like crappy signal, because it was still a piece of crap antenna, and just going, oh, fuck. And we had a couple of relatives who, a couple of coworkers rather, who had relatives in New York City, and they, of course, were just freaking the fuck out. Uh, they were all good in the end, as it turned out. Uh, but it was one of those things where, you realize my brother-in-law and sister-in-law live in Japan. And a few years later, we were having a family get together, and we were talking about it. And he was like, yeah, I was like, I pay good money for high speed. He had high speed internet service in 2001 because he lived in Japan. And it's like, he's paying good money for this. And he's like, why won't any fucking websites load and everything? And then finally he, because it's the middle of the night there. And,
Oh yeah.
And then he turns on the TV, and it's like, oh my God, he realizes
So
this
his
is why the internet is completely choked and not worth anything at the moment,
even in Japan.
even in Japan.
Wow.
So, uh,
Wow. That's that's genuinely amazing.
Well, it's the global
Yeah.
capacity for internet data at that time wasn't anything like it is now. And it's like, and nobody was even trying to use it for video,
Hmm.
but it was still just, it was all of the everything was clogged because everybody was trying to get everything at the same time, and it had never been designed for that. uh so then it's like, this is where broadcast media actually turns out to be a valuable thing, uh because they got through and you could find out what was going on. uh to this day, that has been a thing several times. Uh,
On Air Force One that day, none of the communications were working. They were getting CNN and Fox, and that's actually what Bush was primarily using.
yes, uh, because broadcast has a broadband, it has a channel that's there no matter what. The problem with the internet is that if too many sources try to transmit data at the same time, it can overwhelm the channels. That's still a thing today. They've upgraded it and upgraded again and again and again and again to a state where we could not have imagined the amount of data being broadcast in 2001. I I used to think, well, the stupidest thing imaginable is streaming video individually to millions of people asynchronously, instead of like having a channel where you broadcast it all at the same time. And they've made it mostly work. I mean, but again, if you get an extraordinary event or a particular failure or something like that, then it all falls apart. And in 2001, the whole internet fell apart because everyone was trying to use it at the same time. And that was, no one was trying to send video. No one was trying to do anything other than do texts and emails and stuff like that. Twitter didn't exist. Uh, but even email, it all fell down because the bandwidth was just completely overwhelmed. And that's, you know, that level of traffic would, our modern internet would laugh at that. But the problem is our modern internet would be faced with people trying to send each
Upload
other,
4K video of it.
yeah, and TikTok videos and stuff like that. And so it would fall down for different reasons. Um, but yeah, that changed the world.
So do you think it was just so you're kind of going into it's it's relatively paired. It's no one was uploading 4K 60 FPS video, but it's also, I mean, what the capacity of the internet grows exponentially every 18 months. How many 18-month cycles have we been through in 21 years? But why would it maybe I'm a little naive. I mean, I know cell towers specifically in New York were, I mean, one, not only were they flooded, but the biggest like cell signal relayer was on top of right the South Tower, North Tower.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that destroyed it. But what do you think it was? What do you think the internet aspect of that was? Because I mean, the NSA, the White House, the POX, the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, they
No
all
one
have their
really
own backbones.
no one really saw the internet then as a thing.
Okay.
It was sort of a sideline.
Okay.
It was the media, the dedicated transmission lines that all of these entities had, and most of those held up because they were dedicated. This is one of the funny things about modern society, though, is that most of those dedicated lines are now tunneled through the internet. So if the internet fails, then all of those communication channels will also fail. Uh, in 2001, there's a lot of those still had dedicated copper and fiber links. That was just how things were done. And now it's like, oh, it's so much cheaper and more convenient to just do it through the internet. Uh, And if you're worried about security, you encrypt it, double E, triple E, all kinds of redundant shit and all. But it's still so much cheaper because other people have paid for all these expensive transmission towers and lines and stuff to get the data from point A to point B. And why should you do that? It's other people have done it.
So you'll have to excuse again my own ignorance of the topic, but why do you think the internet would have if we're saying it's not like a mature or fleshed out thing, was it that people were using email instead of calling or in addition to calling, but even that relatively was flooding the internet?
Yeah, well, in 1990, yeah, in 2001, the internet was still mostly a text medium. Downloading a picture was
Yeah.
something that would take several seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a special thing. Like if you were on Napster and you got someone who had a university broadband connection.
They'd see
I,
through
rem-
you.
I remember hooking up with someone and downloading the Beatles' White Album in like 5 minutes.
And that
And
that was
I
big,
was like so thrilled.
that was big dick energy.
It was,
Yeah,
and that's audio.
yeah.
It took
Yeah.
me only 5 minutes to download compressed audio equivalent to an hour of,
Oh, yeah.
a studio record. And of course, today we have video and all these things, but the problem is the ratio hasn't really changed. We have all these video services because the backbone has become so much more capable. But the ratio between what we're asking of the backbone and what the backbone is capable of is not all that much different than it was 21 years ago.
Hmm.
So if something happened today, then I'm not sure it would hold up any better. But the problem is that in 2001, there were other services that had their own channels that were completely independent of the internet, and those were there. So when the internet didn't tell you anything, it's like my brother-in-law was like, he's like, it's 2 a.m. or whatever in Japan, and he's like, he's gotten a couple of frantic phone calls and he's like, why is this thing not working? I am paying top dollar for the best internet service. And finally he turns on the television set.
Yeah.
And there he finds out, oh, fuck, this is the problem.
Yeah.
And it's no longer a mystery. Nowadays, the people who would be serving those signals, I mean, look how much television got or entertainment content now is served streaming only. And that depends on the internet being up. And the internet is much more robust and much more capable than it was in 2001, obviously. But if you do manage to fuck it up, then everything goes away.
It'll be even more because, like you said, if it's primarily a text. Yeah, I remember downloading like a Blink 182 "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket" album in like 5th grade. Yeah, you start downloading it and then you go to bed and it's ready when you wake up for school the next morning. 14 hours late, just audio, and which is all the more absurd. I did download a video game on Napster in like 2003, which is insane now that I think about it. It probably took like a week, but the point is it's so if it's primarily text, maybe some audio, perhaps a picture, versus now, sure, we're immensely more robust. I mean, unrecognizably more robust, but it's all scaled up. Like you said, it's even if I just take a picture right now, nothing special, not on the DSL, whatever the fuck this thing is, DSLR. If I just take a picture of, my slipper and text it to you, even that is like a 3820 by 2140. That's
it's ridiculous.
It's a massive file. And that's just that. So even if something happened today, and if you're only trying to stream it in 8K VR, but if I went outside and just, I saw like I did this last fall, during an episode, like the fire alarm went off, and like I went outside and like I had to cancel on the guest last minute, and I'd never had this person on before, and I didn't want him to think I was blowing him off. So I real quick just took a video of the fire truck pulling into my apartment complex. And even that in 2021 still took like a minute to upload to my email. And I didn't realize it, but it was like 80 megabytes because it's 60 FPS 4K HDR. And
Yeah.
so, but the point of all of this is it would all be scaled up. If 9/11 happened today, it would all be scaled up, but we don't, all those other independent things.
The ratio between what we normally do day by day and the capacity of the network is actually about the same. So if everyone suddenly decides to do something at the same time, the capacity isn't there for it. And that's been the case for a lot of things. You know, one of the aspects of climate change is that we're getting these massive rainstorms. They just had one in California. We had a pretty bad one in Mandeville last Thursday. And it's
In college,
you
I
know,
lived in a neighborhood called Mandyville.
yeah, well,
Fun fact. Sorry.
Suburb of New Orleans.
Yeah.
We're right across the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway, that 24 long, the longest bridge in the world over open water.
Yeah, you got a right up your picture you
For-
took is the one that Google automatically made your profile picture.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm stalking. I'm stalking you. I remember.
Yeah. And when Atin Shea made his video, the first 8 minutes of it is through the windshield of his car driving across the causeway.
That's fantastic.
Because it's just so weird. It actually is. But the thing is, now I've gone on
Sorry,
that.
I interrupted you. Yeah, sorry. Our daily
Welcome to being 58 years old.
our daily,
Yes.
or me post concussion. Our daily, the amount of things we do daily on the internet, our percentages, ratio.
Oh yeah. It's, you know, if everyone does the same thing at the same time, our networks have never been up to that. Even our drainage systems aren't. Since I grew up in New Orleans, I learned from a very early age that our drainage system is designed to clear 6 inches of water in the first hour and another inch of hour every hour after that. Now, if you get what they call a training thunderstorm system, which is instead of the line of thunderstorms doing this, okay, and you're under them for a few minutes, they do this. And so you have one after another, after another, after another, and you're just getting pounded. I was in the middle of one of the first of these events that was ever recorded. And you can get 12 inches of rain in a couple of hours. And then it floods because there's no drainage system in the world anywhere that can deal with that. No one will ever design for that because, first of all, it's impossible. And second of all, even if someone magically tells you it's going to happen, no one's going to pay for it. So what's going to happen is houses are going to flood, people are going to be displaced, cars are going to flood, all this shit. And this is, happened a dozen or two times since that first one that I lived through.
I was about to say, what year is that?
I'll say the first one it was in the 90s.
Oh, okay. Never, I'm retarded. Sorry. Keep going.
So yeah, it was, I mean, this is a thing that had never been observed before the 1990s. And so all drainage design all over the world was based on this idea that, yes, you will get an initial pulse and you have to deal with that. And then you'll have reasonable rainfall after that you then also have to clear out. But then these storms started to happen where this thunderstorm would park itself over your neighborhood. And you get like a foot of rain in 2 hours. There's not a drainage system in the world can deal with that. That's basically what happened to the internet on 9/11.
Okay.
And it could happen again because no one is ready. No one designs for that. No one designs for that kind of extreme case because no one's going to put the money into it for this
It's
thing.
not profitable.
Yeah, no one expects it to happen. And then when it does happen, everyone throws their hands in the air and goes, like, oh, fuck. It's like,
Military probably has something, but that's for them. Doesn't have to be profitable because it's
yeah.
national security. Yeah.
Well, they might have a dedicated channel or something, but
Yeah.
the public internet is kind of like drainage. It's like everything goes through it. You don't have, do you think there is such a thing as a private drainage channel?
That's a good point. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and even the military is increasingly dependent. I mean, the internet was invented for the military.
Yeah. ARPA. Yeah.
So yes, and and also they're looking at it as no, our needs are limited. Our needs are text. We're looking at all this video bullshit, and it's like all we need to do is get through a few hundred bytes for command and control. But if the whole thing has been locked up and your packet can't get routed because the router has been overloaded and crashed, then it doesn't matter.
There's actually a kind of a side tangent. In Raven Rock, Garrett Graff talks about how they actually have their individual, like their own cell towers that are completely inaccessible to the public. And then the NSA bought up, and I want to say 2003, they kind of like, I think they blackmailed the guy, but Quest, which I guess was like an original, like it was floated to be like a super fast ISP. And I think the guy was doing some shady Wall Street stuff. So I think it was during the first Bush term, I think they went to him and they were, because at first they were like, we're tapping all the internets. And then they saw this one and the guy was too ambitious. And I forget what it is. It's in James Bamford's Shadow Factory, but they go into it and they're like, this thing's not really working. This guy kind of wants an out. He kind of wants to sell it, but he's also like a First Amendment, like absolutist. And long story short, the NSA ends up buying it from him for like pennies on the dollar, but they did it specifically to have their own physically separate air-gapped internet. And I think it's primarily on just like it's like between like DC, Baltimore, New York, Boston, kind of that hub, but they have their own physically separate system.
Yeah. Well, and that's where you need it most because that's where you have such a high population density that if something like 9/11 happened today, it would still clog all the tubes. It would be like everybody but on the other hand, the media are now depending on the internet to transport their data. So that independent channel that we had in 2001, it's going to be crippled too.
Yeah, I wanted to circle back to that. So are we actually worse off now? I mean, to the layman like me, I would immediately look at like the size of the internet, the capacity, and be like, it's 10,000 times stronger. But it's really not, because like we talked about, everything's been scaled
because we're
up.
also using it 10,000 times harder.
But and now what we have let die on the vine are those broadcast kind of telephone copper wires.
Yeah. I was talking to one of my coworkers about this a couple of days ago, in fact, about POTS, plain old telephone service, which used to be bulletproof. That was the thing, is that I remembered it's like a hurricane would hit and everything would go out. The lights would go out, everything would be gone, but the telephone would still work. That's because it was built to bulletproof. The local office had literally tons of lead acid batteries. The whole thing was made. The signal itself going down the wire was a current signal that was designed to be resistant to interference. So if water got in the line or something like that,
Just
it would
bulldozed.
still work. And everything about it was, from the ground up was designed like that. And in the early aughts, when the cable companies started to want to offer telephone service, the regulators were like, well, you have to match the reliability of the Bell system services. And they had a lot of trouble doing that because, as you know, sometimes your cable goes out. And well, if your telephone is piggybacking on your cable, it goes out too. And all these intermediate stations on the cable network needed power. They were computers. They had all kinds of complex functionality. None of that was true of the POT service. That was nothing but frickin' copper wire between you and the central office. Doesn't get any simpler. Uh, Nowadays, it's not so much. The thing is, they let the cable companies start doing telephone service. And then the phone company came and said, if you're letting these assholes get away with this, why should we be spending all this money? And so now, even if your service is through AT&T, it's not so much likely to be, that bulletproof liability that will work even when your whole town is under 5 feet of water. That's just, they don't do that anymore. Now they have their digital relay stations and shit. Uh, Even if your phone is an old style, you know, you pull up and get a dial tone and dial a thing, it's like, yeah, that still looks to you like the same thing, but between you and the other guy is no longer the same. Now there's a lot of digital shit in there too. So
Now, Starlink, is this a bolstering or is this a even more fragile growth?
that is very hard to say. I have,
It's still in its infancy.
yes. And for one thing, the constellation of Starlink satellites is going to constantly be atrophying. I
Mhm.
mean, part of the promise of it is that they won't stay up there and become space debris, which means that a certain fraction of them will be constantly re-entering and will have to be replaced. So it's kind of dynamic in that respect, that the constellation will have to constantly be refreshed by more rocket launches. I'm sure that just upsets the hell out of Elon. Yeah, that
You just
this will
gotta
be
keep buying them. Fuck.
uh, now the concept is interesting. I mean, I can see the, it's not stupid. I can see it working, and I can see the reason that someone thought it was a good idea. Uh, I'm not so sure that there isn't a downside somewhere, because this is one of those things that seems to have been pursued. I know the astronomers are all
Yeah, it's
completely pissed off
light
about
pollution.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, more like the uh, satellites crossing the picture that
Well,
you're
yeah,
trying to take.
the long exposures. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like photobombing your picture of a nebula or something.
Fucking product placement in James Webb photos. Brought to
Um,
you by Starlink.
yeah. Well, James Webb doesn't have to worry about that
You're
because
right, because that's way out there. That's a stupid comment.
yeah, it's a million miles out. It's
All right,
out from the
Keck.
freaking moon.
All right,
No,
Keck Observatory.
it's ground based telescopes. They have to worry about the Starlink thing
Keck Observatory. Okay.
because it's like tripled the number of orbiting things that are capable
Yeah.
of doing this, and it's not even built up yet to the, that was supposed to be now. But as a concept of creating connectivity for everyone on the earth, uh it's brilliant and visionary. I mean, if that's your priority,
Sure.
I mean, I remember as a child, watching Star Trek episodes and Captain Kirk. Beam me up, Scotty. Okay. And the idea that you could take a device like this, or like this, okay, and just punch it up and talk to anyone in the world who had a similar device was like magic.
Yeah.
And now it's real. If I had a friend in Afghanistan and I knew their number, I could just punch it into that thing and talk to them. That's not even counting the fact that I can also watch video on that device.
Yeah.
So in that respect, we are living in the science fiction future of when I was a child. But then you have to ask, how does it fail?
Yeah.
That's the thing no one ever asks. And as someone who works in industrial service, that's the thing I am always dealing with. This is why I am sitting here with my feet hurting and kind of, anyways, because I went on a difficult job last Tuesday and ended up overstressing myself because I was at the ass end of what used to be a coal-fired power plant, which they are now taking apart. And I did the little happy dance when I saw on the news that they were taking this plant off the line. I was never going to have to see this truck scale again. And then in February, I got a message that said, we need 15 more remote controls because we're using this scale to weigh all this shit that we're taking off site as we take the plant apart. Like, what? So, yeah, that's where I was Tuesday, 300 miles from here. I mean, literally, I have driven this thing so many times. And the odometer, it's like if I set the trip counter in my driveway, drive off to Clico Dole Hills in Mansfield, Louisiana, it will click over from 299 to 300 as I am driving up the driveway to the guard shack of the plant.
From my apartment in Athens, Georgia, up to my parents' house in Maryland back in college. I think from like my parking space, I always hated it because my OCD wanted more, but it was always, I think it was 599.5. But yeah. So it's not to get completely pulled off into internet phone stuff. I kind of want to go back to just you remembering it more. I mean, again,
9/11.
I remember. Yeah, I mean, I remember hearing on the intercom. I was in Miss Woodall's 5th grade class, but for the one class a day I wasn't with her. I was with Miss Carr. I was in math. I was sitting next to Michael Mariano, and we were playing with a little Lego underneath our desk. It was a skeleton with a sword, and we were like sticking the sword through it. I remember they came on the intercom and said the archdiocese has decided to close down all the Catholic schools, OLA, CTK, Christ the King, Our Lady of the Assumption, St. John Newman, all of them, IHM. And because, I was a moron, I was like, oh, they're just, I guess somebody just decided no more Catholic schools. I was like, well, and I remember I looked at my buddy, I go, and he was just as dumb as me. So I go, we got to go to the same school. And he goes, I know. And that was the worst of my problem. And so we went back to Miss Woodall's class, and she said, she lied to all of us. She said some angry men got into a helicopter and attempted to fly it at the Statue of Liberty, but they jumped out at the last second and landed in the ocean. And we were like, so what's the problem? And then, my mom picked me up and she was crying because my mom's from just outside New York City, like 30 minutes from Manhattan.
Yeah, so
and
she knew.
And I was a little skyscraper nut. I always loved them. And I just remember her crying, saying the Twin Towers are flat to the ground. And I was like, oh, fuck. And like, even I understood. I remember my dad came home from work and we went to one of my dad's colleagues. It might have been his boss. They're in the same neighborhood. And we went there, and I remember watching the replays again and again and again, specifically the one from behind of the plane, disappears completely. I remember that. Wow. And I don't really remember anything about the Pentagon or the Shanksville flight, and then my memory kind of
those were like those were the B lists.
Those were the
9/11
that was
things. Yeah.
that was the after
Which
party.
yeah, which sucks if you were one of the victims of them or
100%.
something.
100%. Um, and then my memory kind of like skips to I remember holding my dog and watching uh that like famous CNN footage of us in Baghdad. So that's like 2 years later. But
Oh,
very,
that's quite
very
a skip.
yeah. I mean, I remember in between, I remember me and my buddy Connor and my buddy Matt, I remember us watching like a flash video, like a flash animation, and it was Colin Powell singing, "Hey, Mr. Taliban, turn over bin Laden. Colin Powell gonna
Mm,
bomb your home. Hey, Mr. Taliban." I remember that. But again, it was very detached. You're 11.
yeah.
And um
But let's not forget also the person who finally did get Osama bin Laden was Obama and SEAL Team 6.
oh yeah, I loved that meme, 2011. I loved that meme because I think that's when Trump first was announcing to run. And I remember there was an Obama meme and it goes, "Mr. Obama, did you mean to announce uh that you got bin Laden like during one of Trump's shows or something?" It was announced during Trump's show. And he goes, "No, but I guess you could call it mine." He puts the sunglasses on and it goes, "Trump card." I always loved that meme. um, yeah, I remember that. So now 10 years
Yeah,
later, I do remember that. I was in college. Every morning I
yeah.
walked from the frat house to the gym and I remember walking in.
And of course we had a trumped up war. Oh, excuse my pun there. Which had nothing to do with 9/11
Sure.
because George W. Bush
Wanted to finish
Jr.
what dad started.
had daddy issues and had nothing to do with the Twin Towers or or any of that. And so that basically prevented us from actually dealing with what happened on
Effectively
9/11
going after
for a decade. And and also getting us into another quagmire which killed a bunch
20
of
years,
people and all.
5,000 Americans,
Uh
1.5 million civilians.
yeah, for basically no reason that mattered to us at all. But uh props to Barack for actually finally finishing the thing that needed to be done, uh, and killing the architect. Uh, but the the thing is, in those early days, we didn't even have a fucking clue who did it. That was one of the reasons that W was able to start his little pet war instead of doing what needed to be done, was because no one had any
Well,
information sources.
there were there actually were there was speculation it was bin Laden on 9/11/01.
Oh, before it happened. Bin
No, 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 no. I
Laden.
mean that after no, that evening. It was
Yeah.
speculation within the intelligence community that it was him.
Well, yeah, among the
Yeah.
spooks always know everything. It's like
Yeah,
they know
yeah, yeah,
everything.
because they fucking funded it. But like, that's another rabbit hole for another time. Um,
uh, but uh, the thing is, it's like the spooks knew before it happened that something was going to
that
happen.
whole
They didn't know exactly what.
that whole year, if you could, sorry, I know I keep interrupting you, but if you go back, a lot of great books by James Bamford, and I never knew this really until like 3 years ago, just how much they kind of knew it was coming, and not in some tinfoil hat way, but like the chatter, the
Oh
FBI,
yeah,
CIA, to the point where they were having these internal, basically, uh, danger rankings to where they're saying July, August, September. They said it's a near certainty. We don't know what, we don't know where, but they're like,
yeah.
it's coming.
And
Everything is off the
they were
charts.
presenting this to Bush, and he was just going, "Yeah, whatever."
And
You
he was
know,
going, "Listen, I am a cowboy. I'm a fucking whatever." And they were like, "It's coming."
and it did.
Hmm.
And that's look, when you have gone to the effort to create people like the spook community, don't fucking ignore them.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're there for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that be one of those people. I could never do that. I
Yeah.
totally respect what it takes to have that level of commitment and
Surgical
to,
detachment.
yeah, and it's like you can't tell the people you love most what you do and
Hmm.
all that. And it's like when someone who has dedicated their life to that is telling you you are in danger, you need to do something, don't fucking blow them off.
Yeah. Yeah. To kind of what you said earlier about Iraq, what's actually kind of interesting is
I mean,
today.
if Dale tells you somebody's coming after you with a Bowie knife and I think he's dangerous.
If Dale would never say that because Dale's the most dangerous man in the room. But no, I know. I get what you're saying. If
But he
Dale's
might not be there when the other guy gets to you. He's warning you.
Dale actually, fun fact, Dale actually retired a couple months before 9/11 and
Yeah,
then went
you
right
told
back
me
in.
that.
Yeah, for
Yes.
9 years. And yeah, that's when he went to the Special Activities Division, which is Delta Force on steroids.
Yeah.
What we were saying earlier about Iraq, actually kind of interesting today, just kind of scrolling through Twitter, the most vocal like opponents, they're all, of course, thoughts and respect to the victims, but they're all Joe Kent, former Green Beret guys I've had on here before. They're all the ones saying like, and don't forget, they took that emotional like fervor and they bulldozed us into Iraq where we had
Yeah.
no. They're like all the guys I lost. They're like,
No, they got screwed.
and it's kind of fascinating to see them say it the most. Even 10 years ago, that would kind of be an apocryphal thing to say, but you see those guys saying today, like, don't ever forget, like, the military industrial complex will wring you dry. And I guess it's kind of optimistic to see them saying that, start to diagnose it from within.
Well, I don't know if I'd call it optimistic. I would say
Well, I mean, as
I
opposed
was
to that
just
sort
like,
of, as opposed to hiding behind the flag and how dare you question the
yeah,
service.
people who you think you're going to be jingoistic goers along are
You see them
saying,
criticizing it more than which is what that's
yeah,
to me that's optimistic.
yeah. I
That's
mean, people like me have been, criticizing this for a long time,
sure.
but that's people like me. It's like no one's ever going to mistake me for one of these people, and I'm never going to have a security clearance because
Like,
I'm who I am.
well,
Uh,
the most
yeah,
valuable criticism is the one we have for ourselves because that's like the realest. You're like, oh, this
yes.
person has become aware,
Yeah,
and
but
that's
if
what's
those,
kind
yeah,
of
you're right. If those guys are starting to criticize it,
I think it's
then
good. It's good. I expect you to criticize it. I expect David Vine, the author I've had on here, from Yale or wherever, super liberal guy. I expect him to criticize it.
you don't
It's
expect those guys to criticize it, though.
And when they do, when you hear Dale start saying like,
Carries weight.
yeah, that's exactly what I mean. When you hear Dale start to say like, this is like another bullshit war, don't go be fodder for politicians, it carries a little more weight. I'm actually going to run to the bathroom real quick, but the point of me going into all of like my vague memories of 9/11 to like when we got Bin Laden, just as a person, I was 11 and then I was 21. The way your brain changes. I vividly remember I was pre-med, Valdosta, Georgia, walked to the gym the same time every day. I went outside and I saw my buddy Corey, who was in the fraternity next door. SAE, they had a big white marble lion, and he was painting it red, white, and blue, and he was shit faced. It was like 5 a.m. I was like, Corey, I was like, what are you doing? And he goes, we got him. And I went, we got him. And like I just knew. I knew what it was. But even then you can see the 10-year difference in just like how your own mind, you remember things more clearly. I remember, my brother's death. I remember COVID. I remember I'll be able to be telling kids in 50 years. I remember exactly how like COVID started and played out.
Mm.
What I want to get to is I want to get back to kind of your direct experiences because you're in your 50s now. So you would have been
58,
so you would have been what, 37?
37.
So
Yes.
you're 5 years, that would have been 5 years older than me now. So you have a much more mature memory of it. But with that, let me go to the bathroom real quick. Roger, take it over.
Uh, okay. Well, if you would like to get a copy of my book, which Tommy Carrigan's favorite book, The Metamorphosis of Prime Intellect. If you want to get a paper copy like this, you can do this too. Then I encourage you to get it from lulu.com, Lulu. You can get it from Amazon, and I don't have a problem if you do that. It will be the same price. But if you get it from Lulu, they are the publisher of origin, and I get a lot more of the money because Lulu has to charge you the same price that Amazon does. The contract that makes it possible for you to get it from Amazon requires them to do that. But Lulu gives me all the money that Amazon and the book chain and all them guys would normally take. So it's like the difference is like $6 and $7.50. But on the other hand, if you have gift card, if you just it's more convenient. I don't resent it or anything. If you do get it from Amazon, I get by far the most of my income from this thing from Amazon because so many people go there. Their search is good. They bring it up and uh, they actually advertise it to people. So I'm cool with that too. But just a suggestion, if you want to do me solid and you would like a copy like that. Now, if you want a electronic copy like Kindle or ebook, you can get those anywhere, from Amazon. They are the publisher of Origin. It's for your Kindle, it's Amazon. So that doesn't matter. But if you would like a paper copy that you can read in the bathtub, then I would ask you to consider getting it from Lulu. That's something that Tommy and I have flogged for a few episodes here. And after that, ain't got much. So it's Tommy asked me to clean things up. I do have President Zelensky's tweet up on the other monitor, but I would rather read it when Tommy is here. So, and I have a dram of fine Ukrainian vodka. And the reason I have a small bottle like this is that if it was a fifth, I would do something stupid. Okay. So, I just got finished showing your viewers my dram of fine Ukrainian vodka here.
Ooh, what is it? Core?
Core. And if I had a fifth, it would probably lead to me doing something stupid. So
Listen, Tom, I gotta be honest with you. I was involved with 9/11. I gotta come clean. Haven't been sleeping well. Like
Yeah.
Roger.
So since you're back, one thing I mentioned, I have President Zelensky's tweet.
You read my mind. I was about to say on that note, what's Zelensky's tweet?
Today, we pay tribute to the victims of 9/11. It is one of the most tragic days in the history of America and the world. Facing missile attacks daily, Ukraine knows well what terrorism is and sincerely sympathizes with the American people. Terrorism is an evil that has no place in the modern world.
Fucking right, dude.
I think that was very classy.
I think it is.
In the middle of a war.
Absolutely. I mean,
which at the moment they're winning.
Yeah, death. Yeah, was it the cursive effect? Kirsten, offensive,
or something like that. Yeah. No, they the Russians basically abandoned Kherson Oblast today, and apparently their people are running for their lives and abandoning their weapons, and it's turning into a total clusterfuck for the Russians.
Fuck around and find out. I mean, if you're gonna invade another nation, you're always gonna get your ass handed because you have people who it's the last thing they have. Even the jihadists in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Well, I think the mistake that Vladimir made is that the last time this happened, it was the Russians defending themselves from genocidal invaders, and they were defending their homes, and they had nothing to lose. This time it's the Ukrainians defending themselves against the Russians. That's a slightly different dynamic.
It's like what I call older brother strength. I will always kick the shit out of my younger brother. He's taller than me, and he could put on more muscle than me, but I will always dig deep and kick the shit out of him because I can't lose my little brother. I'll fucking kill myself. And the same goes for my older brother, right? There is something where it's like invading is always going to create a resistance that is not just, even if it's not, let's just, even
They
if
thought
Russia,
it would be a curb stomp.
well,
That they
let's look
thought
at the,
they would take care of it in 3 days. It would be a curb stomp and it would be done.
let's look
And
at someone who deserved to be invaded, Nazi Germany. They still fought viciously because, right or wrong, even though they deserve to be invaded, there's always like a native connection that's just going to conjure up a rabid resistance, justified or not, even if you're Nazi Germany.
Yeah, if you're on someone else's
Imperial
what they
Japan.
think is their home,
Yeah.
then you got an uphill battle doing anything.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's not new. So it's kind of like fuck around and find out. But to kind of to pivot back to you with the
And
intent.
and again, this is 9/11. This was we were attacked on our home. And the United States had it's like, have we ever even experienced that before?
Pearl Harbor, it was 6 decades
but
prior.
Pearl Harbor was a territory. It wasn't even part
you're
of
right.
the territorial United States.
You're right. And Hawaii is just so far away. You're kind of like, yeah, I mean,
it was important because the fleet was there, but it wasn't like it was part of America in the way that New York, for God's sakes, is.
Or if they had bombed like the fleet in like San Diego, that would have been different. That's a good point. But to kind of pivot back to you being 37, so towers come down, Pentagon, Shanksville. What else? Again, my dad traveled a lot, so my memory kind of cut off that night where I was scared. I was like, they're gonna try it again tomorrow when like the airports reopen. My dad was like, no, they're not, and like they didn't.
Oh, no, well, they shut down air travel, and I know people who had to rent cars and drive halfway across the country to get home because air travel wasn't available. And it was, that was one of the things that drove it home to everyone how serious that was when they shut all the flights down.
Yeah.
Nothing like that had ever happened before.
Yeah.
And it was, being middle-aged, I grew up taking for granted that things worked a certain way, and was like, they did what?
Wasn't it the director of the FAA's first day? I think it was.
Yeah, I think
first
it may have
day,
been. Yeah,
and he had to cut off. He had to do something that had never been done.
Yeah, Jesus. But it wasn't his decision. The decision came from
Cheney.
Yeah, from Cheney. Yeah, it was very high up, and whether you say it was from Cheney or from Bush, or is there any difference? The point was nothing like that had ever been done in modern America. We had it's like you go back to World War II and we had things like rationing and gasoline stamps and stuff like that, but just by fiat shutting down the entire airline system nationwide and forbidding air travel across the country because we don't know what the fuck is happening next. And of course that just disrupted everything. It's like people complain about COVID measures.
Yeah.
This was like the same thing at the time.
And no announcement. It just happened in one day.
Yeah. At least with COVID, we had some
thought coming. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there was a little warning. There was rumbling, at least if you're paying attention to it. But 9/11, it was like that morning, skyscrapers are fucking falling down. And that afternoon, you can't get on an airplane anymore.
In 12 hours.
Yeah. Less than that, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless, I mean, what?
Because, it was like within 2 hours after the attack, they grounded all the all the airlines everywhere. It's like every airplane that was in the air had to find the nearest airport and land.
Oh, yeah.
And
to Canada. If
it wasn't where you were planning to go, so too bad. You had to figure out how to get somewhere else, because there were no airplanes flying for days after that before they got it sorted and figure out how they were going to deal with this thing, because no one had ever done this before. There had been hijackings. Everyone thought they knew how hijackings worked. The hijackers are going to have demands.
Yeah.
You deal with them, you negotiate, you do this and all. It's like when the first plane hit the first tower, the whole world changed.
Yeah.
This is one of the things. By the time Flight 93 had been delayed, and the people on Flight 93 had cell phones. They weren't camera, all this shit that we have today, but they did have cell phones, and some of them were on, even though it's not allowed on the airplane. And they found out.
Hmm.
And that was, the tactic was obsolete at that point. They knew they were going to die. And so they chose to go down in flames rather than do it passively. That's why there's a monument to them in Pennsylvania today.
Todd Beamer.
Yeah. It's like, let's roll.
Yeah. It's fucking hardcore.
Yeah. I mean, everyone on that plane was a fucking hero.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes it's not because you were born a hero or that's in your blood, but it's like you wake up one day and realize you're either going to be a hero and you're going to be dead, or you're just going to be dead.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
so they were there. It's like making, cups of making boiling water just put in the faces of the hijackers.
Dude, they went full Home Alone. They went full. They took the food carts and just bum rushed it like a fucking medieval battering ram.
Yeah, and there was like, the terrorists augured the plane into the ground deliberately, and they were fighting them till the last inch.
Yeah, you can hear them screaming. Yeah, Allahu Akbar. Yeah,
and but that, it was like, by that time, it's like the attack wasn't even over yet, and the technique was obsolete.
That's a good point.
Because at that point, there was nobody in the world would ever just sit passively by and let the hijackers control the airplane, because they knew
my dad
they're not just going to end up on a tarmac somewhere waiting for the negotiators.
Yeah, waiting for Dale.
Yeah.
My dad was on a flight a couple days after that, and he said like throughout the plane, it was just like they took like the biggest guys, even from like the back of the plane, and people were giving up their seats, and they lined. What they did was you lined the aisle on first class, and then what a lot of them did was put blankets around their forearms in case the guys had knives. So they just went through and they just kind of did like a head count, and they're like, who's the biggest guy? If it's a bunch of like young girls, it'd be you and I, and it'd be Tommy and Roger, and they put right in the aisle seats, and you're just ready to fuck them up. But like, my dad was actually at Portland Jetport that morning, which is where Muhammad Atta took off from. Yeah, and I never knew Muhammad Atta flew from Portland to Boston and then hijacked. I always thought he hijacked from Portland, but my dad was at Portland Jetport that morning. Jeez. So fucking insane. But so again, from your mindset, so like my memory kind of cuts out like that night. I remember all saying like nightly prayers with mom, and like everyone praying for like the victims. And like really, I had just turned 11. I really don't remember much. What is it like the next day?
Well, the next day there still weren't any flights, and it was like this eerie calm. You had all of the people calling on the phone saying, "Well, I'm in freaking Arkansas and I can't get back," and it's like, I think I can get a rental car with some other people and get back. And it was like that. It was like that for 2 or 3 days, in fact. And no one knew why this had happened. And there were all these rumors going around. I don't think it was for, maybe a couple of weeks before we started to get the sense that it was the these Islamists, with Bin Laden and all. In fact, it was longer than that before we heard Bin Laden, but we heard it was like, well, they were Islamic terrorists and they hate our way of life. They
Mhm.
hate, uh, you know, well, that's the
That's the narrative.
U.S. cast on it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what they actually hated was the fact that we were economically controlling their interests because it's always about money, isn't it? Uh, I think the most interesting take that you'd never see on it that I saw was maybe a year or two later. Um, I think it was Rachel Maddow who did this episode where she played a video of Bin Laden. At this point, it had been
Oh, yeah, he
revealed.
was
It was,
releasing tapes
yeah, he was releasing tapes. Everyone knew that he was behind it by then. But he was hiding in the mountains and no one could
in the
find him.
caves under Langley, Virginia.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know. I'm not to make light of all the one of like I said,
No.
one of my old gym buddy was a firefighter on that day and lost a bunch of friends. I'm not trying to make light of it.
Uh, but she played this tape where Bin Laden was going. Well, this only cost us $25,000, and a few of our fighters, some of whom didn't know that they were going on a suicide mission. How evil is that?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, but this is our return. The United States has spent this many billions of dollars doing this. They lost this many billions of dollars in revenue. They lost this many billions of dollars. And she cut in and said, this is what it's about to this guy. It's about money. It's about economic warfare. And he won.
Yeah,
He
I mean,
spent
penny for
less than a
penny,
hundred. He spent less than $100,000
we
and
spent 5
cost
trillion,
us billions upon billions. It
trillions.
upset our society, upended our legal system because then they passed the USA Patriot
Patriot
Act,
Act, domestic surveillance, which we're still being renewed through 2022.
and which, as we discussed in another episode, the government having that as a tool decided to use to upend the
Porn.
porn industry. Uh, and it's just like one thing after another. And he was just gleeful. He he won economically. He won. He
Yeah.
struck. It's like he aimed a bullet and
David and Goliath.
unleashed a tornado,
It's perfect. Just
perfectly targeted.
one perfect. I was thinking about this morning. I saw a bunch of Green Berets got again. The most insane thing is see them posting, but they're saying, "I'd say he won."
Mhm.
21 years, domestic surveillance, police state, Department of Homeland Security, $7 trillion in the Iraq War, bases all over the world. I mean, we just
Yes, and
withdrew last.
none of us would have ever thought this was possible in 2001.
Well,
I
even
mean,
if you had told them what would happen in 2001, we might have said, "Yeah, that's winning." So even if you thought it was possible, you probably would have said, "Good." But now you look at it and you go, "Did we get it? Did we get our fucking teeth kicked in?" As Bobby Fischer said.
we got our fucking teeth kicked in.
It's not an easy pill to swallow. But I mean, he wanted to destroy our way of
But
life.
the first rule of figuring out how to fight is learning that you lost so that you know that you need to do something different
Understand you got
next
punched in the
time.
face. Drop the ego. You got lit up.
Yeah. And we did. I mean, that's
Yeah.
our country got gut punched.
Hmm.
And for a good 10, 15 years, we didn't even really understand it. A few people did, and they tried to tell us, but most of us weren't listening.
I'd say we can still pivot. We can still, as Ron Paul would say back when I was at 2012, blowback the unintended consequences from our meddling and our covert operations abroad. many of which are classified. So when there is blowback, the average Joe doesn't even know it's blowback. They just go, "Fuck was that about?
Yeah.
Fuck was that?"
Well,
Right?
and really, in a lot of senses, what Bin Laden does was
That
against
was
things
blowback.
like that. Yeah,
That
it
was
was
blowback from the
blowback.
Mujahideen. That was us funding them in the 70s to bleed. So it's a big new Brzezinski, bleeding him dry, take out the Soviets. We call them freedom fighters. Reagan applauded them.
Hmm. But they always hated us.
Yeah. And then they wanted to get involved in what, 92 or 93. And we were like, fuck out of here. You guys are fucking, we're done with you. It's a one night stand. And they're like, the fuck we are.
Yeah,
But so,
and I'm laughing, but it's
no, but it's
that's what it was. That's and we're like we're living with that today.
yeah.
I mean, the world before 19, before 2001 had a very different feel. And it's very strange to even be trying to remember it because the everything was about, oh, the Clintons and her emails and
Yeah.
it's just basically
Bill got a
bullshit.
Bill got a blowjob. Like, all right.
Yeah, our president got a blow job and there's a blue dress and the first, and Hillary had some emails on a server and then this is all so terrible. And meanwhile, Mitch McConnell is plotting to stack the Supreme Court and
And he's married to a woman whose father is on the chairman of the board of the biggest Chinese defense contractor. No one ever brings that up about old boy Mitch.
yeah, yeah. Uh, and then this happened. And partially it gave cover to those assholes like Moscow Mitch. Oh, did I say that?
I would say a little more Beijing.
Yeah.
Regardless.
And
That turtle.
yeah, and it gave these assholes cover to do a lot of damage domestically because we were looking at stuff overseas that actually wasn't as important as we thought it was because these were just a bunch of individual assholes. And it's like, we didn't need the US military to take these assholes out. What we needed was SEAL Team 6 and a few CIA guys.
Couple Dales.
A couple of Dales. Find them, use night vision.
Yeah.
Put bullets in their brains, come home.
No nation building.
Call it good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what should have happened. Instead, we went and fucked up our entire position in the world.
Yeah.
And it will, if we can ever make it right, if we can ever get back to where we were in 2000, where we were just fucking respected. No one took it for granted. The United States was, it's like the US tells you, look, a thing needs to happen. Oh, well,
yeah.
For the most part,
yeah,
we've lost that. We threw
that
the fuck away, and it's we're a generation at least away from getting that back if we ever will.
Yeah.
And it's been my whole life. It's that part of the story. Before you were born, I had another great disappointment because I grew up being born in 1964. So I was a teenager in the 1970s, which was the age of, the hippies and free love and all this stuff was in the background. And of course, I wasn't one of those people. I was, the good kid and all that. But I saw this. It was sexual freedom. It was like we had the birth control pill now. We have, Roe v. Wade. It's like you can have relations with whoever you want. It's like it's a good thing. It's like you can, you know, you had all this music and everything. And just as I came of age to enjoy all this, we elected Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, we shifted.
It didn't just shift, it was full reverse squared. And apparently, a lot of the people who had been in that movement just got tired of it and decided to sell out. And it's like, no, we want to, you know, have
A lot of salary.
regular lives. Yeah,
Yeah.
you want some stability and all that, which is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But it all started to roll backward. We were gonna, you know, I I
What
left
Hunter
a
S. Thompson
post.
said.
I left a post on Usenet in the late 90s. I said, you know, it's like when I was in my teens, we were going to solve poverty. You know, we were going to go to the moon. We were colonize space. We were going to make sure the races got together. We were going to, you know, solve all these problems once and for all that we had always known were problems. And then in 1980, we decided, no, we're not.
Isn't that what Hunter S. Thompson said? If you look at
Yeah, you see this wave
look at the
coming,
Hollywood Hills, you can see where the wave of the 60s reached its
and
apex and then
then
withdrew.
it just,
Such a great analogy.
and yeah, and he was there 10 years before me, but he saw it in 1970. I saw it in 1980. And it was disappointing. It was like I I was, I think I want to say 25 years old before I voted for a politician who actually won their election.
So it's 89, right? 64, 89.
Uh yeah, it was
That would have
mid
been
80s. Yeah, I think I voted for a representative in the mid 80s who won her post. But it was, you know, I cast my first vote for president to reelect Jimmy Carter. Well, that went
that
well.
was 80, right?
Hmm. That went well. And
Guess I
it's it's like I understand. I disagree with people.
sure.
They disagree with me. Now, but the world that has been built since I was that age is not at all the world anyone should want to live in. That there's so much wrong, and I voted in every fucking election that I have been eligible for since I was 18 years old. And it's disheartening to see that so many other people are basically deluded by propaganda. And the Supreme Court has held up that rich people can spend as much money as they want on propaganda because it's speech.
Yeah, money, speech, corporations are people.
I mean, that's the death of our nation.
100%.
The founding fathers are spinning in their graves so fast we could tap them to make power. I mean,
we could heat Germany this winter.
yes, it's like this isn't at all the country that these men tried to make. Now, we were aspiring. It's in the United States, it's always been very flawed.
Sure.
I mean, slavery, anyone?
Yeah. I mean, dude, women couldn't vote till what? Was it after World War One? Like,
Yeah. But we try.
sure.
The whole point is that we try. And the last 10 years or so, what we've been doing is going backward. I mean, it has looked disturbingly what happened in Weimar Germany
Oh
before the
yeah.
Nazis came to power. And
It
it's,
looks like we're teeing it up for a demagogue.
yeah,
It's either Trump V2 or it's someone who's going to make us wish for Trump.
I don't think it's going to be Trump
I don't know
because
either.
he's too old and he's too tainted.
I think he likes his position now of like Republicans at least go and they want the Trump endorsement.
Yeah,
I think he
well,
likes that kingmaker status. I've thought about this a lot. I think he likes because right, Tim Dillon said it best. Tim Dillon hates Trump. He goes, Trump could, he goes, in 50 years, right now it's too close in the rearview mirror. In 50 years, it could just be brushed over as, well, he was doing good, and then COVID took him out, and he's not wrong. Like, that's probably how it will be. Like, once it all fades away, he's like, and Trump might want that's going out after you win the Super Bowl, and then, all right, whatever. Then that's a very generous view of him. But
Trump himself will never accept that.
no.
His ego is way too big.
Oh, exactly. But I think he likes where he is now because
No, he doesn't. He wants to be president again,
you think so?
forever, for life.
Well, no, I think he
Won't
wants to be
accept
dictator of
anything
the world.
less.
I don't question that. I think he
Yes.
wants to be dictator of the world. But I
Well,
think,
being dictator of the US means being dictator of the world.
well, I'm not wrong.
We have the biggest military
Not
of,
wrong.
the next 10 countries down combined.
But let's say
So if you're dictator of the US, then you are a dictator of the world.
so let's
So
say he examines it, knows deep down that he won't win. I think that I think now I'm with you. I think he wants to win. I think that he thinks he's probably entitled to it. I think he
Mhm.
probably also knows he can't win. And I
No,
think that he
I don't think
likes
he does know that.
really.
I think he lives in a bubble of reality where he has convinced himself that he is entitled to it and
You might be right.
if he doesn't win it, then it means it's all corrupt.
It was rigged, yeah.
Yeah, it's rigged. And so he will never accept that he is not president.
Now, if we keep going down this seemingly, circling the Weimar drain, do you think there's a good bumper sticker? But
Yes.
circling the Weimar drain, that's going to be the first song on my new solo album, Young Tommy, DJ Misinfo. Do you think that are we then teeing it up for him or someone like him to legitimate to win genuinely win an election? And that doesn't make it right, but are we teeing it up so as the animal is getting cornered? The United States is realizing that we aren't respected. It's not, the glorious land. Are we reaching a point where we're going to lash out and tee up a total fascist dictator and not only not have them steal it, but have us democratically vote them in? And that doesn't make it any, if anything, that makes it worse.
Well, fascism doesn't get in because of great national causes. Fascism gets in because of individual causes, individual expectations, the economy. Are you able to hold a job? Do you feel economically secure? Those are the things that got the Nazis in power because they promised people, we will fix this. These things that the reparations that were imposed on Germany after World War I ruined our economy.
Yeah.
And we are going to fix this. That was how the Nazis got into power. And so, and if you listen to the rhetoric that is going on in this election cycle, the Republicans are desperate to make it about the economy. And, they, because they are desperate to make it about these things. The problem is that they are the dog that caught the car with respect to Roe versus Wade,
Yeah.
and they're fucked.
They don't know what to do. You got the trophy.
Yeah. The thing is, they've gerrymandered all of these districts all over the country. This is the problem with gerrymandering, though, is that you trade a large advantage in district for a smaller advantage in multiple districts to get more districts so that you get more representatives. Okay. So what's the acceptable swing? In a lot of cases, the gerrymandered advantage is 2 or 3 points. That's considered big. That's considered solid.
Decisive.
In most cases, because things like this tend to be consistent. It's just like at the beginning of the COVID thing, I was telling someone, it's like, there was like, well, you can't prove anybody died of COVID. This is before there were COVID tests and all. And I was like, well, there's 100,000 excess deaths, and the death rate is very consistent. And this is like 2 sigmas above. I was like, well, you can't do that. You can't say, it's like, no, I can. This is what statisticians do all the fucking time. It's like, okay.
Deviation from the norm.
Right. Okay. So you've got, the Republicans know this. The people who do the gerrymandering know this. They're very excellent at math. They're good at what they do. They've been planning for years. It's like, we can take, instead of having 4 districts out of 8, we can have 7. Put all the Democrats in the other district by gerrymandering. Now, that means instead of having a 6-point advantage in all of these districts, we'll have a 1.5 point advantage. But the problem is then what happens is all of these women register to vote, as they've been doing all over the country, especially in states that are red and have these attorneys general and legislatures that are passing all of these dumb shit laws about abortion. And so you get a 6-point swing. Now, that gerrymandering you did all of a sudden bites you in the ass, because now instead of having 11 districts, you lose them all.
Yeah, I you know me, I'm no Biden fan, but I actually do think that it's a big brain move. I think the reason he didn't, maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but I do think they did.
That speech was about rousing the base.
Oh no, I'm not talking about the speech. No, I don't give a fuck about that. It's a fucking speech. I'm talking about not codifying Roe v. Wade. Let him pass it and galvanize your own base. Tactically, it's brilliant. I think that's what it was.
Well, they don't have the votes to codify it yet in Congress.
Sure, but
they're like, give us the votes in the midterms, and then we'll codify.
Regardless, yeah, it does seem like a kind of let the levies fail. Tactically, I think if it wins you the seats, I mean, just remove all attachment to our own political views. Just look at it as like a Kissinger, just psychopathic viewing the chessboard. It is a path to victory.
Oh, yes.
I'm not condoning or opposing it. It's what it is.
I'm not even looking at it psychopathically. I'm cackling.
Yeah, no.
Like, oh, yes, this is a thing that's going to probably happen.
I think that's what it is.
They fucked up. The Republican Party this year is the dog that caught the car, and it doesn't know what the fuck to do with the tire it bit.
It's like, I think the second Super Bowl the Patriots lost. I forget who the fuck they were playing, but the other team was on the 1-yard line. There's only so many seconds left. And they snap, and then all the Patriots just stood up and they let the other team run in for the touchdown. And everyone was kind of looking at like the fuck. But the idea was Bill Belichick, the head coach, was like, the game is still winnable. What I need is time. So he let the other team go take it. It ended up not working. But had it worked, it would have been a brilliant tactical play. But if it works and you let him go, because what it did is he ended up giving himself a lot
Yeah.
more time. Ended up not working out.
Oh,
I think that's what it is. I think that if you see them kind of, they're going for the dog is going for the steak they've been going after for decades.
they aroused a sleeping giant.
Yeah, and if it wins you the fucking election, I mean, then it's not. If it sounds stupid but it works, it's not stupid. And I'm not. That's not the fucking way I lean. I'm just looking at it detached.
They've been hanging this carrot in front of the religious right for 40 years.
Yeah, you
Come with
let them
us,
grab it.
and you
Yeah,
might. And they finally let them have the carrot. Well, now they got what they wanted. The law has been overturned. States everywhere are passing these increasingly sadistic laws, basically denying gynecological services to women under all kinds of life and death situations. And there's news articles about it all over the place. And the state legislators seem to be like a particularly cruel and stupid group of people in general. And they're just like doubling, tripling, quadrupling down. It's like, no, we've been told our entire political lives, this is what we have to do, is make sure that women have to bear children or die trying. That's their attitude. And well, women are starting, it's like all of these young women, older women who've taken it for granted their entire lives, they're men who are like, what the fuck? Are all looking at this like they're horrified. And this is in the middle of this midterm election, just far enough in front that everyone will still remember it when the election occurs. And the pundits, the pollsters, nobody is able to process the sea change that this represents. That this is a fundamental shift in the electorate. And I am, it's not a matter of optimism or pessimism. My calculation, looking at the map, is that there will be a blue wave this season because the Republicans have painted themselves into a corner that the Supreme Court has then thrown the rest of the paint over their face. And I don't see how they get out of it. I mean, I don't even see how the gerrymandering and the voter restrictions and all the other shit these idiot fucking assholes have been doing will even save them. It won't be enough.
Yeah, you almost wonder because, right, it's always like we talked about earlier with like the invading force. The invading force will always have a greater resistance. I would imagine that they'll try to pull, they'll try to galvanize their own base. You finally overturned it. Come out to vote this fall to keep it.
But they won't. That doesn't work that way.
Yeah, be it sports or be it war, you can never quite, you never have the same revved up energy as you do when you're the underdog, right?
A lot of the base, a lot of the very people they thought they were appealing to are now starting to realize how horrible this is. Teenagers, children being forced to carry the babies of their rapists. That is, tell me there is a more powerful ad than that.
Yeah, I know. That's some fucking shit out of Revelations. A
Yeah.
demon inseminating you. Yeah.
And it's like a lot of the people that they took for granted as their base, particularly women, are going to go into that voter booth having told their husband and all their families, of course, honey, I'm voting Republican, and they're going to pull the D lever because
Probably not wrong.
it's happened. It's not and that's not conjecture, Kansas, of all places, voted down the amendment to or voted, I just forget how it works, but basically they voted for abortion rights. This is like one of the most conservative parts of the country.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm sure that the Republicans in the other 49 states are doing Hershey squirts now that they have seen this. And all over the country, Republican candidates are cleaning their websites of their anti-abortion views. This is the thing that, yes, it's on Daily Kos and Democratic Underground. There's articles there about how, oh yeah, all over the country, Republican candidates, we used to be like super duper anti-abortion. All of a sudden, their abortion views are not on their website anymore.
Yeah, because you can hold it up. You can hold it up if you kind of know it's never going to be a thing, right? It's a call to your base.
It's
But
just
like you said,
theoretical.
but yeah, it's a thing. It's we gotta stop.
But when you have actual 10-year-olds
You did
being told you have to bear your rapist's baby because of this law, all of a sudden, a lot of those Midwestern Christian people start to get goosebumps and like,
it's all you go.
That's not quite what we meant. That's really not quite what we meant, is it? And it's and it's all very dynamic. It's all swirling around right now. It's like there's no quite telling where it will end up. And like I've said, I think that we'll end up being a blue wave. That's not a certain thing. It's like a football game. You never know.
Yeah, you can always predict X, Y, Z will happen, and it's any given Sunday.
Yeah. The other guys could rally. There could be an effect that I haven't seen, but I personally think what it is that they are not seeing this effect, and they're defiantly not seeing this effect. They are insistently not seeing it, and they're going to get their asses torn out because they're not willing to see it. That's what I'm seeing.
I don't think you're wrong. I'm trying to think of. I don't think there's any way they could downplay what you're talking about. I don't think there's any way they could downplay it. I think, like I told you, like 2 weeks ago when we were talking, and I had a panic attack. The only thing that kind of made the panic attack subside is because I accidentally got high and I was just panicking more. I don't see them, again, just tactically. I don't see them necessarily being able to make this less of a thing than it is. I'm wondering what would there be, just as a thought experiment, what would there be bigger that would galvanize? The only thing I could think of is, and this would never happen because it hasn't happened since Nam, but it would be, no, not a draft. I get that's too hyperbolic. If we started putting U.S. soldiers in Ukraine,
that won't happen.
But I'm just as a thought exercise.
The Ukrainians don't need it. Everyone can look back at it. They'll look at that
logically, sure. But I'm just saying, let's just walk this out as a thought experiment. Is you're saying, because you just said, is there an unforeseen thing? So I'm trying to think what would be the unforeseen thing. That's really all I can think of is if the Biden DOD put troops in Ukraine, you'd have a bunch of those guys I was mentioning earlier.
Putin actually detonates a nuke anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I can see that would upset the equation right now.
I think that, or American troops in Ukraine. And I don't even know if that would do it, but in terms
there won't be any American troops in Ukraine
I know
unless
that.
something like
I know that
detonates a nuke somewhere.
I know that. But what I'm saying, I'm just thinking, what would it be? Not even look probabilities. It would be something just like something dumb enough for the Republicans to actually go through and get Roe v. Wade overturned. It would be someone fucking too cocky and saying we're putting boots on the ground. That would be it. That would be that.
Yeah, but
that's the only thing.
The only person who can do that is Dark Branton.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I don't think it would happen. I'm just saying, like, wargaming it, what would be it? That's probably about it. That's probably the only thing you could get to galvanize that, or a wild card. Something happens in Taiwan, and that might swing it more Biden's favor or in the opposite. That's kind of
That's a good suggestion.
that's the unknown, right? That's
yeah,
that
I mean, us
Rumsfeldian.
putting boots in Ukraine is not a thing that can happen, but we don't have any control over what happens.
No one
in
knows
Taiwan.
no one knows what's gonna happen there.
Yeah, if something happens there, then then the checkbook opens, and
even that, if something happens in Taiwan, that could just solidify Biden's win even more. I don't even know. Or it might solidify his loss.
Well, that's the thing, is that's what happened when the stacked Supreme Court overturned Roe. This, the Republicans have been promising this for 50 years.
Yeah.
That, we're going to do this. And well, they did it. And now it turns out that a bunch of people who never thought that it would happen have noticed, and they can vote. Now, something like Taiwan or something like that, yes, that's a possibility. But right now,
sure,
you have an enormous slice of the electorate. The new voter registrations have been 6 to 10 points female above male in every red state. Not in blue states, but in red states.
So what I'm getting to with the boots on the ground is, in the same way someone have to say, in what way Tommy and Roger disagree politically, but they still do podcasts every week. What would have to lead to them not doing podcasts anymore? It would have to be something absurd. That absurdity, we would both agree, will never happen. But as a thought experiment, it'd be like, I guess Tommy would have to go physically assault Roger, or Roger would have to, frame Tommy for a crime. Sure. I don't see it happening. That's what I'm getting to with boots down the ground. I don't see it happening. I'm just trying to walk it out as what would do it. It would be that. It would be a Putin nuke or a wild card of a Chinese invasion in Taiwan. And even that wild card, I don't know which way that swings. That swings towards Biden or towards fucking DeSantis, whoever runs against him. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think the Chinese invading Taiwan would depend very strongly on exactly how Biden responds and exactly how it goes in the first week or two.
You'd either have him bolstered as a wartime president, or if he fumbled it.
Exactly.
There's really no gray area. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, for all of our disagreements, we don't disagree on all that much.
No, not at all. Which is kind of hilarious, as you see it in a microcosm, just how much we all are alike. You and I are not an exception. When we're like, we really don't disagree that much. Hey, spoiler alert, that's most of the nation. But yeah, I guess Taiwan.
Too bad our politicians can't see that.
Yeah, well, they're all fucking pedophiles. They're not that they're fucking pedophiles.
All
they are
of them.
pedophiles. They're all every
one of them.
Goddamn one of them.
Party,
copy and pasted, 3D printed right out of Epstein Island. Epstein's temple is a fucking 3D printer. That's what it is. It's a fake 3D printer.
The whole House of Representatives is there, and the Senate.
Kind of interesting though, I guess, in a final advertisement for Mopey. Yeah, I would say Taiwan is kind of the singularity. We're walking up to it. We don't know which way it goes. If something happens there, not only how does that affect Ukraine, that either solidifies Bush.
Well, now, a lot of semiconductor manufacturing and other high Taiwan than you.
Not trying to belittle Ukraine. There's a lot more in Taiwan directly implicated in our defense industry, let alone our economy and the world's economy.
Everything.
I mean, granted, Ukraine is the breadbasket, but yeah.
There's a lot of shit that you take for granted. The only factory that makes it is in Taiwan.
Now, granted, Biden, we could even walk this out further then, right? Biden did, is it the CHIPS Act? Is that it? Was that the fucking one they signed a couple weeks ago? To bring back
what it was called.
To bring back
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The bring back whatever. Yeah.
No, it was
which led to the hilarious meme. And here is the iPhone 14, and it was like this brick phone from the 80s with a little teeny screen.
Oh, that is fucking hilarious. Vote for the Chips Act. Vote for the Chips Act. You get this. But that's right. That was to subsidize chip manufacturing in the United States.
Well, and it's a thing.
Oh, it's a good thing. I'm not criticizing it. It's an objectively good thing.
I use chips made by a company called Parallax in Rockland, California, and they design their own microprocessors. I've been using them for about 15 years. They have a very unique, innovative design, and it would be a side thing to say why, but they recently, in the last 3 years, came out with their second generation version, and they have a group called On Semi, based in California, did the fabrication of the chips. And then they had to ship the chips to China to get them cased, to get them put in packages that could actually put on circuit boards and shipped back, because there isn't anybody in the United States who can do that.
So you could try to walk out the singularity of a Taiwan invasion. Maybe it's not that opaque. That could be, I think, logically, just let's look at it from chips. You would say, well, no matter what, we would go in and defend because the chips are just too important to the DoD. And not only would we be losing it, it's not in a vacuum. It's like baseball, where if you lose a game to your arch enemy, if the Red Sox are playing the Yankees and we lose a game, they don't just gain a game because they won the game. So it's actually a twofold change in the race. It would be us not only losing Taiwan, it would be China gaining it.
But
I guess
there's no other sources.
Well,
there are a lot of things for which the only factory in the world is in Taiwan.
So
it's no longer a big thing now, but there was a period when if you had a CD or a DVD player, the only factories in the world that made those mechanisms were in Taiwan.
So walking this out, I would say that a Taiwan invasion would probably benefit Biden just because it's a clear-cut thing. And then not only that, you'd have to, and you'd be right. It wouldn't just be, it would be an objective fact that he did foresee and prepare for this with chips. You'd have to give credit where credit's due. So I think a Taiwan, it would all depend on, does he now if China invades and we do nothing.
Well, part of the problem is that China also depends on these factories. When I say the only factories in the world, China depends on them too.
China's in the world as well.
They can't afford for these factories to stop production. I think that's one of the reasons that they haven't done what they really want to do.
And isn't Xi running? Isn't Xi running for an unprecedented third term?
I don't know. Xi has, as far as I'm concerned, Xi is president for life. I mean,
no. You do have to win within the CCP. No, I'm saying that might actually be huge, because it might now be in his court. He's going to want to invade to solidify a win. In which case, I think the only way
they need Taiwanese parts as much as we do.
That's what I mean.
So that's like a hidden thing. There is like the China, everyone says like the Chinese make iPhones and all, but they depend on Taiwanese parts as much as we do.
So it seems that you kind of have it's an existential thing. Xi might want to do it to solidify his own power. I think the only way it could fuck Biden, the only way it would fuck Biden would be if he didn't act strongly on it. It's kind of a weird catch-22 saying if you put boots in Ukraine, that would lose it for you. I think if he doesn't go balls deep on Taiwan, let's say China does invade Taiwan, If Biden does anything short of
If
total,
China invades Taiwan, the world has ended.
yeah, well, that too. That's another thing. Yeah.
There's no, I mean, there's no
Or
backstop from that. I mean,
or
I'm sorry. That's
maybe
if
5D chess. Let's just, and I'm shilling on behalf of Biden. I'm not even a Biden guy, but I'm just trying
even
to
if
look.
it's not nuclear, if China invades Taiwan, our technology is over.
What if what if Biden's able to what if Biden's able to look at this and go, the reason why we don't have to go in and start World War III is because the CHIPS Act. We're not, and I think it's going to take like 5 years, so that's not technically feasible. But that would be a 5D, dare I say, Trump card.
Actually, I think that's exactly what it's aimed at.
That's a 5D chess move. The reason we're not in
Yeah.
World War III is because I made sure that Taiwan was expensive. That would be fucking shit. I mean,
It's not a 5D chess move. That's a 1D chess move.
yeah, it's a logical conclusion, but to
It's
retards
if you
like you,
look at the
we're
situation, China and the US are both incredibly dependent on Taiwanese manufacturing. And if there is a danger that China will go balls deep into Taiwan and just say, fuck it, then having our own capability, which we have abandoned because capitalism,
yeah, outsource it,
so
baby.
capitalism, so
Outsource it.
wonderful, right? We have no in-house capability anymore. And the Chinese are sniffing at our, capability that we need.
That's a good point.
So yeah, I think that's what the CHIPS Act is about, fundamentally, is about the threat to Taiwan.
You could,
And
yeah, you could sidestep it entirely.
yeah, and that's the entire point. That's you have our entire civilization requires things that are made in Taiwan.
Mm.
You have no fucking idea. I work in industry
I know you do. I know this is
and
your
yeah,
wheelhouse.
and if Taiwan were to suddenly be sucked off the face of the earth by the Martians tomorrow, we would be so fucked. Now, what the CHIPS Act is about is that, there was a time, in the 1970s when I was learning computers, when we made all the fucking semiconductors. We invented it in Silicon Valley, which is why they call it that.
Yeah.
All right. And now Parallax in Rockland, California, near Sacramento, does their best. They want to make a chip. They're a non-fab chip house, as it's called. They design a chip. They get on semi to create it, to make the chips for them. They do that in the United States, in California. But then someone has to take the chips and mount them in packages that can be put on circuit boards and soldered onto place and all that shit. Because I can't take a piece of silicon, a quarter inch of in
Yeah.
diameter and all that. For that, they have to ship the whole lot of them to China.
We do that with
And 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, we get because all of us fanboys are going, what's the status of the propeller 2? What's the status of the new chip? What's the status of the new chip? And there's like, okay, on semi did it. We've gone through. It's like they had, this, we've gone through things where we had this breakdown, we had a problem, they had to redo things and all this. And finally there's like, we had a good, we have good fab run. It's like, I actually have a board mounted up there, a beta unit that turned out to have a flaw. The hobbyists, us, we found out about that, reported it back to them. They had to come out with a new version. Okay. So then they have to take those wafers that are okay and ship them to China to have them mounted in packages that can be mounted on circuit boards because there are no producers in the United States who can do that. They could have the chips made in the United States, but there's no one in the United States who could put those chips in packages that can be mounted on a circuit board.
I'm trying to, and then let time get away from me. Got to wrap this up in like 5 minutes because I'm an idiot. I've got, of course, this has just evolved to us screaming about 3D printing pedophiles, but which is the natural course of episodes for you and I is to go
Of
this way,
course.
or nuclear war, which we touched on, which means that we've run our course. But I was thinking, knowing the U.S. as little or as much as I do, I don't think we would take and this isn't even a pro-US stance. This is just what I think we would do for worse, not for better or worse, but for worse. I think if we bolstered up our own domestic chip manufacturing and removed or at least greatly diminished our own dependence on Taiwan, and then China started to invade Taiwan, logically, I would love to see us just sidestep World War III. I think what we would probably do is fund Taiwan in hopes that the chip manufacturing places would get destroyed to deprive China of that asset, which itself could spiral into World War III. I'm not saying it's good. I also don't not see us doing that.
Well, it's hard to say because right now the status quo is very firmly entrenched in a lot of industries,
Sure.
and everything would be disrupted. So it's like, would it be disrupted a little or would it be disrupted more? That's all you can hope for, is to be disrupted less. Not being disrupted in a scenario like that is just not a thing that's on the table.
From an American empire, and again, this isn't condoning, this is just, again, trying to look at it objectively.
Mm.
Not only would I see us maybe so maybe let's take another so either fund Taiwan in hopes that the factories get destroyed in the melee, or you let, like the Patriots, you just let China take it, and now you've set up a bipolar chip world, in
Mhm.
which case we benefit wildly.
Yeah. Well, one of the things is that it's well understood by both sides that if China takes Taiwan, they don't take the chip factories because they'll be destroyed.
Mhm.
There's no chance that the processing capability will survive an invasion.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because it's the precision, the supply chains,
You'd burn it on the way
everything.
out.
It's like, well, actually, if China it would invade Taiwan, they wouldn't be burning it on the way out. They would be burning it on the way in. There's no chance of any of that surviving something like an invasion scenario. It's not possible. And I think the Chinese know that because they have their own manufacturing capability, even if it's not quite as good as Taiwan's. So they know
Hmm.
what they would be burning. And I think that's part of the dynamic here is that what Taiwan has built is they've made themselves
I
indispensable
was about to
to
say, fucking hats
everybody.
off Taiwan. Now that more I'm looking at it, my dad's
They've
dad always told his sisters. My dad's dad told my dad's sisters, grew up super poor. I think 4 of the 5 did. He said, become a nurse. Doesn't matter who's in charge, doesn't matter what nation you live in, you'll always have a
Mhm.
job. Taiwan has gone fucking full. Hey, I don't give a
Be
shit
a
who you
nurse.
are.
Yeah.
Y'all want to blow this shit up? Y'all want to blow this shit up? Everybody's like, no, I want my iPhone. That's what I thought.
Yeah. That's
Balls out
basically
Taiwan.
where they are right now. It's like China really, 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 really wants them, but they don't want to fuck with
Nobody
the.
wins.
Yeah, exactly.
Truly, nobody wins. It's
That's
it's it's an it's from the same evolutionary lineage of mutual assured destruction.
well, and I think the Taiwanese have probably set it
Probably
up
thought that
that
out.
way very deliberately.
Yeah, why build a fucking why try to build an army that competes with China? Just fucking build their brains.
Yeah, we have the chip factories.
As always, I feel like I have less of a grip on the situation at the end of the podcast than I do at the beginning. That's the natural course of these. Is you start to get your teeth into something. Taiwan, you start war gaming it. Who would it benefit? Would Xi want it? Would Biden want it? Would it help the Republicans? Would it help? Blah, blah, blah. And then you start to
You know who you forgot there was the Taiwanese.
oh yeah, but I mean, come on. Of course we forget them. We're talking about
They're little
imperialist.
people,
Yeah, we
right?
talk about
They're
imperialist powers.
nobody.
It's
Except that they're making all of the shit in your iPhone.
this could be an Operation Paperclip thing where when we were first looking at the Nazis and all their schematics, we realized that it wasn't just good enough to have the schematics. We needed the brains. Maybe we just start fucking kidnapping a bunch of fucking. I genuinely don't think that's off the table. I just did a solo rant before this about Operation Paperclip.
It's not, but it's not necessary. It's not like it's knowledge. We have all the knowledge. We've had all the,
So it's
we
just the
gave them the
physical.
knowledge that where do you think they got the fucking idea from?
So it's just
that
the
we
physical plants.
didn't have the energy. We didn't want
Or
to
capitalism just said,
bother.
yeah, capitalism said, kick
Yeah.
it off. We don't give a fuck.
Capitalism said to kick it off. That's exactly what happened. I mean, it takes, $1 billion to build the semiconductor plant, a modern plant that can make these things. And well, if these guys are going to do it for us,
Yeah.
why should we bother?
Yeah. Why? Yeah, you just buy it. Yeah.
That's exactly what the dynamic has been for the last 20 years or so. It's like we used to be the guys who made microchips. We invented the technology. And then corporate people came in. It's like Hewlett Packard used to be one of the biggest manufacturers of computers in the country, supercomputers. And then they got this bitch as their CEO who decided it was better to sell everything off and to do cheap stuff.
Do servicing or something.
Yeah. And they've never been the same since. It's like, yeah, you can still walk into Office Depot and buy a Hewlett Packard printer, but it isn't the same as it was in 2001. It's just, the corporate landscape, everyone is rewarded for short-term profits.
Quarters of a year, baby. That's the only thing we look at. Everything else is an event horizon. 3 months at a time. That's it.
No one cares about 5 years from now. And it shows.
Yeah. Kind of maybe in theme with this is so no one wins. The more we're walking this out, the more it's kind of crystallizing that we don't win, China doesn't win, nobody wins. The best case scenario for everyone is status quo.
Yeah.
What if you were a terrorist? I'd hit Taiwan. You want to do the most bang for your buck?
Yeah, but where would you hit it? How would you hit it?
I have no idea. That's why I'm not a terrorist, Roger. That's why
they don't have any 110-story tall skyscrapers.
But you're also not as defended as the U.S. You could just guess you'd have to find all the fact. Yeah, you're right. That is too diffuse. If Putin fucking maybe that's gonna be Putin's hostage situation for the world. I'll fucking nuke Taiwan.
Yeah, and the guys, and it was suggested as far as 9/11 to get back to the topic. Oh, we had a topic, didn't we? The guys who hit
A
the
light
Pentagon,
suggestion.
uh, the ones who hit the Pentagon really wanted to hit the White House,
Hmm.
but actually flying into Washington, it is, if you don't know what you're looking for, it is very hard to make out the White House from the air.
It's all pretty low height.
Yeah,
The
and
buildings.
there's a lot of foliage around it and
Yeah.
stuff. And so they hit the Pentagon because that is something that
On
you
the
can
Potomac, you could
see.
find. Yeah.
Uh, but it's, we don't know for sure, but we think that they were really hoping to
Yeah, the
target
White
the White
House.
House.
I think they also
And
wanted the Capitol. That
uh,
was the Shanksville one, right? That was
it
supposed to
would
be
have
the
been,
Capitol.
yeah, it it would have been more effective if they had slammed the airliner into the White House than the Pentagon, because the Pentagon had been hardened. Uh,
And the Pentagon's kind of, it's the Pentagon, but it's also,
and it's big.
you kind of also expect the Pentagon to be able to like take a blow, not just structurally, but I
Yeah.
mean, just, all the bunkers and sort of redundance. Taking the White House would have been even if just symbolically, that would have been.
Yeah. Even after the rebuild in the 50s, an airliner hitting it would have dramatically
Oh,
fucked it up.
oh, yeah. Oh, it'd
Uh,
remove it.
so, but I mean, I've been in DC twice, and the first time was when I was a teenager and I had won the science fair award, and we flew in, and I met the Secretary of the Air Force
Oh, really?
along with the other 10 winners of the science fair then. Uh, and it was very weird because they flew us in, drove us in. I got to see the Washington Monument like out of the corner of my eye, but we went straight to the Pentagon, to the basement, and we did our thing. We all told what we had done, and then we were out of there. And it's like we were in Washington D.C. for maybe 6 hours, and then we were out of there on our way to Colorado. And so much later in my life, uh, we were casting about for things to do, and my wife was like, "Where do you want to go?" And it's like, "Well, it's like there's a lot of things." And it's like, "Well, I've never actually seen the shit in Washington D.C." And so we did the tourist thing, went to Washington D.C., saw all the tourist shit. Uh, I was very disappointed because the reflecting pool had been drained. So I was like looking out from Lincoln's ankles, and it's like just a bunch of mud and shit. But the whole vibe is like Disneyland.
Hmm.
It's like everything is underground.
Yeah.
And it's like we have like a world capital and a theme park in one place.
It's America, baby. What else would
But
you?
that is so
I was
America.
gonna say that perfect. What else would it? And you can get a Big Mac, of course.
Yeah. So it's yeah, but it's it's where we came from and where we're going at the same time.
Hmm. I would love to see those the underground like the tram system, like the
It's funny because in the
Congress
subways,
uses
there are obviously entrances that are only meant to be used
for
by people who
Congress.
have clearances. I mean, it's like, so yeah, we never rented a car. We took the subway from Reagan International to the mall and walked about 3 blocks to our hotel. It's like Elaine got us a really nice deal hotel in walking distance of the White House, all that, the National Mall and everything. So it was very nice. We didn't have to do too much. It's like trying to park the fucking car and all
Yeah.
this, like tourists usually do. And uh, but it's like, yeah, you actually thought there is actually a subway stop called Foggy Bottom.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's right there on the
Just-
fucking subway. It's like you've heard this phrase your entire life, and you're just like, I'm here with my suitcase, taking it's like looking at my stop, and it's like Foggy Bottom.
Which stupid question? Which one technically is Foggy Bottom?
That's the CIA.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
It's one of them. It's
Tim-
one of the spook services.
Tim Dillon always talks about that. He goes, I bet I have a strong following in Foggy Bottom.
Yeah. It's either the FBI or the CIA. I think
Yeah.
it's the CIA, but
It's the IC
like
community.
But it's like I'm just it's just you're on the subway
Just
and
right
it's just
there.
like you pass there's a stop called Foggy Bottom. Like you have to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah. It is absurd. That yeah. Go on and then for a geek like me when I went to Colorado for my little brother's bachelor party, and realizing like I was just like a stone's throw from NORAD. I was like, that's it. That's the thing. I was fucking
the mountain.
I was bringing it up. Everyone's like drinking, and
there's a bunch of shit under this mountain.
Everyone's getting ready to go to the bar, and you're shit faced. And I'm like, no, you guys don't understand. There's dual blast doors. They're at 90-degree angles. I was like, LeMay was a genius. And they're like, Pat, your brother's kind of a fucking loser. And I'm like, you guys don't understand. It's Faraday cages.
And if World War III starts now, we're gonna
be dead right there. I think
get nuked.
I think that was my closing statement. I was like, the good news is if war breaks out, I was like, we won't even know. We won't even know because it's right here, baby. But another fun fact. The Lincoln, I think it was the Lincoln Monument. Do you know that was actually, other than Pearl Harbor, that was actually the only thing in America that was damaged during World War II, and it's because a soldier got spooked by something. I think like a car backfired, and he thought it was like, I don't know, fucking Germans, and he fired a 3-round burst and actually damaged a couple of the letters like behind it. It's the only damage that was done in DC during World War II.
I did not know that.
Fun fact. Yeah, I think he shot like 3 letters or something.
That's a funny story.
Yeah, fuck that kid. And
well, it's
morning of December 7th, the head of the Secret Service went and requisitioned Al Capone's armored limo from, I guess, like the IRS impound, and they fucking put little American flags on it, and they put FDR in there because they had never thought of we need an armored car, but it was that day. It was like 9/11. It was that day, so they went and got that fucker. They put some sirens on it, little red flags, and then in the meantime, they started constructing a more official one. But for a while, FDR was riding around in Al Capone's whip.
I've seen that car.
Yeah.
In person, because it was the guy who built what was it? One of the casinos in Las Vegas. I was just done an old guy thing, and my mind just gone blank.
You're good.
But he had a car museum in his casino, and one of the cars was FDR's limo.
That's so fucking hardcore.
And it right there in person. And the thing is, what's the guy's name? All right, but the guy was a Nazi. He was a Nazi sympathizer. The casino guy.
Oh,
the casino guy who
Christ.
built the museum. He was a Nazi sympathizer.
Jesus
and
Christ.
So he had not bothered to renovate FDR's limo. he had left it in the state that it was when he got it. So this is a museum full.
Kind of like an insult. Just
Yeah. And so it's like there's all these other cars that have been perfectly restored and everything.
mint
And then there's this
condition.
car that was clearly in a gunfight with bullet holes all over it, because after they got rid of it, a drug lord had bought it. And they had drilled holes in the bulletproof windows to make gun ports and stuff. And so it had been in like a major gunfight, and before it was reacquired, as it were. And this was like,
That's so amazing.
FDR's limo, and it was just like left in that state in the car museum. And it was,
that there's such that what a fucking poetic so that, because that wasn't the one, because he only had Al Capone's for like a couple weeks before they got him a more official one. So the beauty is he rode around in Al Capone's and then had his own made, and that one went went back
to organized crime and got in a gunfight and all that.
It's fucking Simba. It's just the circle of life. The circle of life. FDR holding up a baby limo. Well, Roger, I think we've effectively done a thorough podcast as we have reached nuclear war. Well, that's about it. That's normally our canary. That's
we generally get here
when we get to thermonuclear army. When we never plan it. If anybody thinks this is like an inside joke, it's not. Sadly, it's not.
It seems to always happen.
It's like a weird, like, entropy. We just reached this point, but
I didn't wear one of your signature shirts this week because you said you wanted to talk about 9/11, and I thought that would not be
probably a good call.
Yeah. So
thank you. It's probably a good call.
Yeah. Shit, what is the name of that place?
9/11.
I hate this. No, the names run away from me. It's strange. It's like I'll know something.
That's happened to me after the concussion, man. It's right there.
Yeah, well,
I can like feel it in my hand, but I can't name it.
I say Imperial Palace. I'm not sure that's right.
In Japan?
No, the name of the casino.
Oh,
that might be right.
That sounds right. I feel like that rings a bell.
Yeah, there's one in Las Vegas, and there's one in Biloxi, Mississippi. I think it is the Imperial Palace. But the original guy who founded the one in Las Vegas actually got in trouble because he hosted a birthday party for Hitler that his employees were required to attend.
Holy shit. Just when you think the non-negotiable Fuhrer assemblies end.
Yeah. It was the IP. It's the IP Imperial Palace. Yes.
You got it.
I got it. The brain cells finally connected. And he had this. It was the most incredible fucking car. He had an entire room of Duesenbergs. It's the Duesenberg room, and it had a bar. We showed up there in 1995 with a coupon from the coupon book that we had. It's like, we hear you have cheap, what is this fight? I'm totally losing it now.
We're also 2.5 hours in. This happens to me.
Yeah.
This is also the sharpest person in the world starts to get cooked after 2.5
Not
hours.
margaritas, the spicy thing.
Bloody Marys.
Yes. Super Bloody Marys. Okay. So we pony up to the bar and with our coupons. There's nobody else there. It's like 10 in the morning in a casino in Las Vegas. And the guy is like, okay, what? It's like, oh, we gotta. So it's like, we hear you made the world's best Bloody Marys. Well, we do. And so he does this entire production thing. It's like making a salad, just like fucking insane. And then at the very end, he takes out, like it's a big secret, bottle of Tabasco sauce. And he does this, the secret ingredient. And we both look at him and go, dude, we're from Louisiana.
Yo, what the fuck are you talking to? Yeah.
And he's like, oh,
how rude of me. Excuse, I didn't know that. As you were. And he cracks open a car battery and starts draining that into my bad. My bad. Could I interest you in some ICBM fuel? Yeah. Would you like some hydrazine? Like, all right, now we're talking.
And yeah, but that and the FDR car, which the guy who owned the place then is, like I said, was a well-known Nazi because he is dead now.
It's just, there's nothing sadder than a fucking Nazi sympathizer. It's over, dude. It's been over for 77 years.
Having a birthday party.
That's some fucking
for Hitler that your
having a birthday party
are required to attend.
Dude, having a birthday party having a birthday party for a living current president is a little like, dude.
I was like, yeah, seriously?
I'll fucking text. I'll call my mom, dad, and brothers. I'll text cousins, aunts, and uncles, and close friends. Anyone lesser, and I see it online, I might drop a comment.
For Hitler.
But not even for Hitler, just for if you and I threw if you were like Tommy, were throwing a birthday party for FDR, I'd be like, Roger, that's fucking gay as shit.
Yes.
But for Hitler,
he's not fucking evil.
Yeah, I know, but that's just my point is, even for like a good president who just happens to be, even that I'd be like, that's fucking gay. But for Hitler too, guy who lost, and a dude who was a total, go read some of Hitler's paragraphs. It's the most incel. No, I mean, if you're the master,
he invented incel. He was like the original. If you're the
master
incel
race, you wouldn't blame anyone for anything. You'd take the bull by the horns and go, I take this as a challenge. No, he blamed the Jews for not getting not up, get better. Just get fucking better. Whether it's your army or your watercolor paintings, just get better. There's nothing more. This is a personal, if you can't tell, this is a personal thing. I just fucking hate people that, even if you have been fucked before, nut up, grab your balls and get better. To blame anyone, especially an entire race, maybe somebody fucked you, but to just,
if you can't get better, just fucking man up and deal with it.
Yeah. Even if it's someone in particular, but to just blanket, the reason why my podcast hasn't grown is because of the Brazilians. It's just such a total, it's just a
totally their fault.
It's just a total pawning off of all response, aside from the fact that he killed them all too.
My wife is actually planning to go to Brazil in next year.
I thought you were about to say your wife is throwing a Hitler party. I was like,
no, she's like, it's like, tell her, it's like, tell me who you want her to kill, and I can deal with, it's like, and pass it along.
Just pass it, tell her regards from the pot. But no, I mean, of all people, not
of
only
course,
did he lose,
the immigration people are going to totally love that.
Yeah, they'll be like, hey, your husband was talking about openly killing.
Yeah, she's going to come in the room and it's like, did you say anything about this?
Hey, honey, the fuck is this? But in conclusion, throw a party for Hitler, who's dead and lost, and was an incel bitch who blamed others. dude.
and require your employees to all attend it.
Dude, and aside from that, it seems like you're a successful guy. You got a casino with a car collection. You've come so
Oh,
far.
he's a very rich guy.
You've
Yeah.
come so far.
Well, Henry Ford also liked Hitler.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So did Prescott Bush.
Mm,
You know,
a lot of people did.
a
So
lot of Wall Street. All right, final thing. Then we gotta wrap this shit up. Tim Dillon was doing one of his episodes a couple of years ago, and I was talking about Tim Dillon. He's my favorite. He's my favorite fat gay comedian. And he was talking about whatever the musical Meet Me in St. Louis. Ring, ring, ring goes the trolley. Like ding, ding, ding goes the bell. And he's like, I love this. He's like, looks back, he looks at the photos. He's like, look how well they're dressed. Look at the women. Look at the men. He's like, what a time. What a place to be alive. What year is this? And the producer goes, 1944. And he goes, that's an unfortunate year. What I meant to say was, I don't like anything about that year. And he pauses and he goes, I dug myself into a bit of a hole here. I wasn't planning on this. And he goes, wasn't a bunch of Wall Street funding the Nazis? So ring, ring, ring goes the trolley, ding, ding, ding goes the bell. Germany's making us a lot of money. Stocks are up. Things are going well. Don't ask too many questions. But yeah, a lot of that's another thing. Not only paperclip do we bring it back. We never really talk about the before it when we are making a fuck ton of money funding the right.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
well, I don't know what I was expecting for a 9/11 episode, but oddly enough, I think this fit well. I can't put a finger on it,
Well,
but I think
that's
the
up to
glove
you.
fits. I think the
That's up
glove
to you,
fits.
Tommy.
I think this episode is very much a Rorschach test. You're gonna see what you want to see in this. You're gonna frame Roger and I however you want to frame it, and there's no right or wrong answer. But much like a Rorschach test, just keep it to yourself because I don't want to fucking hear it. Roger Williams, author of my favorite book, and my good friend. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Curators, conclusion of book 2 will be next week. And
Sounds like a
aside from that-
plan.
aside from that, hope everything's doing well. Hope you feel better. And much love, brother. Thank you so much. As always, it's a pleasure to talk. Go check out the book. It'll be in the description. As always, Amazon, Lulu. Fantastic. My favorite book. I say it for a reason.